Hello everyone. A couple of months ago, we announced one of our most sweeping partnership with Google. The market's response to this announcement was extremely gratifying, which reinforced two things. First, that the market can clearly see the tangible benefits to both business and people as the use of intelligent automation continues to expand. And second, we could clearly see the enthusiasm people were expressing about Automation Anywhere and Google Cloud coming together, planning the future of on-demand intelligent automation for everyone. I am so pleased that Thomas Kurian, CEO of Google Cloud, joins us today at Imagine to talk more about the power of this alliance. Thomas Kurian hardly needs an introduction. He has decades of enterprise technology experience. Thomas, thank you for being part of Imagine.
Thank you for having me. It's a delight to be here with all of you.
Thank you. TK, in your role, you have a chance to talk to hundreds of customers across so many industries. What are you hearing from these customers as their top three challenges today?
You know, the big shift, Mihir, we have seen this last year in our customers is that the speed of digitization, which was existed prior to COVID, has enormously accelerated. And the meaning of digital is different in different industries. You know, in retail, it's defined as omni-channel commerce. In healthcare, it is telehealth. In financial services, it's digital banking. So every organization is thinking about how do I transform my business digitally? Now that in turn leads to two important requirements. One is, how do I use data and the capabilities around machine learning to understand what I need to automate? And secondly, as you open up your core systems because of digitization, how do you automate things? Because just bringing your core systems up so that customers can transact and do business with you requires you to re-architect your business process and automate your business process in new ways. And that's been the centerpiece of what our two companies are trying to accomplish together.
That's right. And I think the last year, as you pointed out, has only made these challenges, it brought them more in focus. They were always there, but the pandemic has made it even more clear. Is that what inspired our partnership for you, hearing these challenges, thinking about how best to solve them? Share with us how this partnership came together and what does it involve?
You know, our vision that is cloud computing, the boundary of what cloud computing is constantly evolving. And if you went back to 2000 and talked to people about cloud, they would have said it didn't exist, but it was really called software as a service. And the core value proposition was around convenience. How do you get an application software, not where you have to install and manage it, but delivered through a browser? The second phase was a lot about infrastructure or data center as a service, which was a lot about, hey, I want to get cheaper computers delivered by somebody else because my core competency is not really that. Now, when you look at how organizations are trying to compete and looking at what can my technology provider help me with, one of the core things is how efficient are your business processes? And they fall down to three dimensions. One is internal processes, whether that is, you know, accounts payable, order management, etc. How fast and efficiently can you do it so that you can shift people to do more high value work? Number two, as you express your customer facing processes online, the need to handle scaling of that is vastly different. For instance, if you are a financial institution and you're exposing the way that people can apply for loans online, when you went from a set of people who are your loan officers in a bank branch to bringing it online, the expectation of speed and efficiency is dramatically different. And all of this leads, in our view, to a longer-term vision, which we share with you and your organization, Mihir, which is how can you make business process as a service possible? because that's what people really want. Can you help me streamline the way that I can define, execute, operate my core business process, whether that is a loan origination process in a financial institution, it's a accounts receivable process in a kind of traditional company, it's an order to cash process in a manufacturing institution. And to us, that, along with the use of data, are the two key assets that people have wanted from their technology partner as we look forward.
You have invested billions in your AI ML technology, and Automation Anywhere has invested a couple of billions in creating industry's only cloud-native AI-infused platform. What does it mean for both of this to come together? You gave a few examples across invoice processing and banking and others. If we double-click on it, when it both comes together, what can people expect from us together?
For us, the investments we made in core technology in AI, understanding boils down to two primary things: understanding data at a fundamental level and understanding how machines can use that data to do various things. So an example I give people all the time is the boundary of what people historically considered natural language processing has constantly shifted. So Google started with understanding words. Then people said, you don't translate a word, you translate a sentence. So then it understands sentences.
Right.
Then when you apply it to a place like a call center, where people are calling a call center and interacting with an agent, they don't really even talk sentences. They assume certain things. And if they've talked to you twice before and they're remembering a conversation they had, they don't feel like they need to repeat everything. So you need to understand not sentences, but conversations. Sure. And as you increase the boundary through which you are understanding this kind of data, you can then automate things in new ways, applying it. Now, what you guys have done, which we are super pleased to partner with you on, is really bringing the boundary of what automation can be to business processes in new ways. And examples are, today when we look at people using your platform to automate things, they are improving not just speed, not just cost, but also predictability. So for instance, if you had an expert, staying with the example of accounts payable, for instance, or on loan management, if you had an expert who looked at certain fields and made a decision on approving a loan, you now have the ability to scale that particular person by capturing their process and decision in your RPA technology, in the Automation Anywhere platform. Right. So we see this ability to understand data and you feed that into a machine, coupled with your expertise in automation as the core to streamlining how organizations function and how organizations can improve the efficiency and speed of their core processes.
Right. Kurian, I've always been inspired by your vision of industry-first AI approach, which I found it very, very different from other cloud providers. And combined with, I've heard you speak about data-driven transformation. Tell us more about the industry-first AI approach and data-driven transformation and that coming together.
Every industry sees this process of digitization through their own lens. What a retailer cares about versus what a bank cares about versus what a communication company cares about versus a media company, they're all different.
Right.
The second thing is providing AI just as a platform, which we do, to help people build their own models, experiment with it, etc., is for some organizations that have large data science staff, certainly possible. But there are many organizations whose core competency was not software engineering. If you're a retailer, their core competency used to be about merchandising, distribution, supply chains, not about writing software. If you were a pharmaceutical company, that was, you were fundamentally a chemical company. Your expertise is chemistry and biochemistry, not really writing software. And so people have asked us and they said, Google may have 10,000 data scientists. We don't have that. Can you take your expertise in AI, but apply it to my industry and a set of problems we have? So that was the heart of bringing our AI expertise to different industries, because our primary focus was, if you have all this technology, how do we provide speed to value for different customers? Now, data-driven transformation is just a part of it. Our core belief is that one of the most important assets companies have is data. And if there's a way that we can help them unlock the power of the data, it'll enormously have a significant business impact, because they can find new ways to use the data to serve their customers better.
That's right. You made an excellent point, TK, there. If a customer is calling a retail branch, or they're calling or it happens to be a patient calling a hospital, has a completely different meaning to a same question, right? So being that contextual and industry-focused solution together will be a key part of our partnership, and I think that is what our joint customers would like to see us deliver. Paint a picture for us, if you will. What does a success look like? And I know many of our customers already have deployed these solutions together, but for a customer listening to us today, give them a view of what an end-to-end picture would look like for them in any vertical that you choose.
Our vision with your organization here is to help people go through this simple, 3-step process, if you will, right? First is use data to understand what might be the most valuable processes to automate. And some of that may be driven by cost reductions, some of it may be driven by competitive advantage. Like, for example, speeding up the way you originate a loan may be a way to get competitive advantage versus another financial institution, not just cost reduction. So first, understand what you want to automate. Second, think about how best to automate. And how best to automate is, you have tools around process mining and your process discovery. Understand what needs to be automated and what's the best way, because sometimes a good way may be to eliminate certain steps from the process. In other ways, it may be to automate certain steps. And the third is automate. And then use analytics on the process you've automated to understand where should you get even better. Because one of the benefits of using the combination of data and process automation, and the way our two organizations have designed it, is to allow you to track the efficiency of the process that you have now instrumented in software using your platform, and constantly improve. And so our vision is, for a bank to be able to say, we can service customers better, and we can reduce our loan loss reserves, because we have not only implemented the combination of the platform, but we are significantly improving the intelligence in the process now, because it's a digitized process. It is not just a bunch of people entering stuff into systems. So that's our long-term view, and we see that in every industry. And in every industry, the first step is to automate these things. The second step we see is that once you've gotten to that process efficiency, for instance, people tell us, okay, once you get to e-commerce, what's beyond that? And e-commerce is just the digital front door. It allows you to track traffic. It allows you to complete transactions and let people experience your products and buy. And then the next cycle starts, which is, how do I forecast demand? Because now I need to estimate how much is coming into my retail store versus my online presence. You need to plan your supply chain. And from our point of view, the promise of our partnership is to enable that first phase, but also give them a foundation to look at the next few phases that happen once your first phase is already in place.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes the pace at which you will be able to deliver goods to your customer depends on how well you're managing your warehouses, right? So they're all connected, and we have to think of them all together not as a back office separately, front office separately, but all of them as a one digital unit together talking to each other, right? And an integrated fashion. TK, when people think of automation, obviously the efficiency, cost reduction, and many other parts come to the mind. But a lot of this eventually translates to a customer experience, whether it is retail or a patient experience in healthcare. Tell us more about that benefit.
Speed is a core competitive advantage in every industry. And efficiency is the primary driver of speed. Just using the example we just talked about in retail. Right. If you can buy the same product from 4 different places, the place you're going to pick is the one that'll get it to you first.
That's right.
So having a lot of manual processes inevitably means you're less efficient, you're less, you're slower, and you're less predictable. And in the retail example, if you can promise to deliver the product by a certain time and you're 100% always hit it, that's the one people choose. The same thing, and once an organization in an industry implements such a thing, their competitive advantage forces everybody to react. For instance, today, there's a certain cycle when a small business applies for a loan. There's a certain cycle that they expect time it takes for them to get an answer. If somebody makes it available in an hour, they will have a competitive advantage because every small business owner wants to get approved or denied within a certain period of time. If you can, if you in a manufacturing setting, if you can order parts and you have a certain speed with which the supplier guarantees delivery to you, again, you're going to find that supplier will get a greater share of the business. And so efficiency has always been thought about as cost. But, from our point of view, efficiency is also about time to market. It's about time to serve. It's about predictability of time to serve. And every element of digital exposes that. One of the challenges companies have with digital is digital forces you to take your internal mess and put it up on the world to see.
That's right.
And so if your internal mess is not efficient and automated, people start seeing it. And they start seeing it because you cannot commit to delivery time. You're late when you commit to deliver. There's a lot of these. And so from our point of view, the process of digitization is going to just accelerate. People are not going to go back to the way things were. They have certain expectations, and they're going to want that process of digitization. Digitization requires complete front-to-back automation, not just for efficiency, but for competitive advantage. And that's, I think, the vision that we both share and both our companies share.
That's right. I'm just reminded of one of our joint customer example, a large retailer who uses both of our solutions together on a vending machine. And when a vending machine doesn't work, it used to take them 48 hours before, somebody calls and a call center agent would take down the problem and then resolution and so forth. The way they work today is with the Google voice technology and AI ML. It's able to figure out the intent, and then the intent calls the RPA, and it takes care of the problem within few seconds. Now, this is an example almost all of us can relate to. None of us enjoy being on the line and waiting for something, to talk to somebody and for a problem to get resolved. So,
there are assumptions. Just using your example, there are assumptions that people always have that one company will change the expectation. Like, for instance, how many times have you walked up to a vending machine that is not working, does not have the product in stock, right, and you go, oh my God, I've got to go to another vending machine.
That's
and
right.
So people don't realize that's a moment where some company lost revenue because there was a product that was not able to be fulfilled at that point in time. Now, imagine a world where that never happens. And that's the thing about when you are efficient and automated, even in a setting like a vending machine, it gives you opportunity and it gives you competitive advantage. And that is, I think, the core belief we have is automation can give you a competitive advantage that you don't have And as soon as one company figures it out in an industry, every other competitor has to react to it and catch up.
And you're absolutely right. And as a consumer, we all can relate to it. What was acceptable to us 5 years ago is no longer acceptable, because once you experience it somewhere else, you expect that everywhere else. So it will drive the entire, almost every industry towards this new level of efficiency and experience. Let me change the topic to the future. TK, you and I share this vision of an on-demand cloud-based transaction solution, business process as a service, where people are able to derive value and execute a transaction in minutes and seconds and milliseconds, as opposed to worrying about infrastructure and software and integrations. And how do we accelerate the pace of digital transformation? Share us your vision of business process as a service in the future.
You know, the two big things I would say is people have a belief that people want to like, I'll give you a practical example. To get to business process as a service, our shared vision is twofold. Number one, abstract away infrastructure, abstract away applications through the automation of the infrastructure on the cloud and the automation of the process using your platform, Automation Anywhere. Why do I say those two are important? Because if you ask a normal person, they don't know what's possible. So they assume that the way that you become more efficient is you spin up servers on demand, you manage the servers, you update the servers, you actually go into the application and manually enter transactions, etc. They don't realize that the technology has advanced so far that it is possible to dramatically simplify the way that technology is applied. And our view is, like, for instance, I've never met a person yet to say, I love patching software. Never.
Right.
I've yet to see a person who says, I really want to control the exact computer on which my system runs. You know?
That's right.
So I think by abstracting the underlying technology, making it more easy and efficient to get the business process, you can accelerate time to value. And I think that is where people really want to find places where they can unlock value. And the places where they unlock value is in every touch point of the customer. Like I often say, we all have an assumption that we're going to go to a retail store, but you know, even today, it is not possible to know that the product you want to buy is actually in the store you're going to. Right. And so you tend to drive to the store. Sometimes they have it, sometimes they don't. And wouldn't it be much easier if these outcomes were all predictable? And there will be in every industry, we find there are innovators who find a way to change the dimension. And if you can make it easy for people to actually get competitive advantage by delivering a full business process as a service, I think that in the end is what organizations need to get to that next level of competitive differentiation.
That sounds like a great place to end. Unlocking value at every touch points, and maybe even reducing the touch points that are not necessary, and reimagining processes and the art of the possible. TK, glad to have you here, and thank you for joining us. One last question. We have over 25,000 people watching us today. What is the one thing you would like them to take away from this session about this partnership?
We are, first of all, Mihir, we are delighted to work with you and your team.
Pleasure is ours.
There are three really important elements of the partnership. Number one, a shared vision for how our organizations together can deliver a competitive advantage to customers, whether that is bringing their processes up online digitally, whether that's improving efficiency and predictability of the process, or three, differentiating themselves with a more efficient and fast process. So number one is we share a common vision. Number two, the common vision is possible because of the deep technical collaboration between our teams. and the engineering relationship that brings the products together. And number three, our go-to-market organizations will work together with customers because our shared belief is success comes company by company, industry by industry, enabling organizations to transform the way they work, whether that's internally or whether that is with their customers. And we really value the opportunity to work with your organization, and we thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of your customers today at this conference.
Thank you for joining us, TK. And thanks to the audience for joining us today. Thank you.